Thank you for joining us, and it's time for our news bulletin right here on Luntha television. And
Iraq youth to be Christ light and hope in a wounded world. Opposition legislator warns university fee hike could hurt poor students as education minister says loans will cushion impact. Center for Social Accountability and Transparency (CSAT) calls on government to link higher tax collections to better service delivery following Malawi Revenue Authority MRA revenue surplus. And in international news, confirmed Ebola death in DR Congo hit 600.
Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Our first item, Pope Leo XIV has encouraged young Iraq Christians to embrace their mission as witnesses of faith, love and hope, urging them to become Christ-light in a country that continues to experience the effects of war and instability. In a video message to participants of the annual youth meeting in Ankawa, in the Archieparchy of Ibu, the Holy Father reminded young people that they have an essential role in the life and mission of the Church today. We have a Vatican News report read by Charity Chiranga.
Pope Leo XIV told the young people gathered from across Iraq that the Church's mission is to serve the world by sharing the light of Christ, encouraging them to help shape the Church and the world in the years to come. The Pope emphasized that young people are not only the future of the Church but also its present, recognizing the challenges faced by Iraq Christians who continue to live amid difficult circumstances marked by conflict and uncertainty. He encouraged them not to be afraid, reminding them that they are not alone in their mission. Reflecting on the image of light, the Holy Father highlighted three qualities that should guide every Christian: faith, love, and hope. He explained that faith allows believers to see reality through God's eyes and to live in truth, encouraging the young people to witness to the gospel through their daily lives so that others may discover Christ. Pope Leo also described light as a source of warmth, pointing to God's love as the foundation of Christian mission. He said that authentic evangelization begins with a personal encounter with Christ, strengthened through prayer and the sacraments, especially reconciliation and the Eucharist. The Pope urged the young Christians to ground their hearts in God's love, saying that only by remaining rooted in Christ can they share the warmth of God's love and the reconciling power of His grace with others. Reflecting on light as a symbol of growth and hope, Pope Leo XIV called the Iraq youth to become builders of peace in a region longing for reconciliation. He said they are particularly called to be peacemakers, bringing unity to those around them and inspiring hope for a future marked by lasting peace. The Holy Father reminded them that although they may not always control the circumstances in which they live, they can allow the peace of Christ to rule in their hearts and become signs of hope through the risen Lord. Concluding his message, Pope Leo entrusted the young people to the maternal care of Mary, Mother of the Church, encouraging them to trust in God's plan for their lives. He reminded them never to doubt God's goodness and recalled the promise of the prophet Jeremiah that the Lord desires to give His people a future with hope.
An opposition member of Parliament for Lilongwe Nyanja constituency, Baba Steve Malondera, has urged the government to reverse the recent increase in public university tuition fees, warning that the decision could make higher education unaffordable for many students. Speaking in Parliament on Thursday, Malondera said the increase in annual tuition fees from 650,000 to 1.3 million kwacha would add financial pressure on families already struggling with the rising cost of living. Fales Chizombe has filed a report read by Ongani Chira.
In his remarks, Malondera called on government to reconsider the fee adjustment, arguing that some students from low-income households could be forced to suspend or abandon their studies if they fail to meet the new costs.
That I also touched on the issue to do with education. This is premised on the fact that one of the members complained that the CBSA is not being attended to, and the minister gave a response that they are working on that. But when one finishes secondary school, you end up getting into the university. So I wanted the Minister of Education to come out very clearly in terms of what informed them to increase the fees.
However, Minister of Education Bryden Saka defended the increase, saying government has recapitalized the Higher Education Students' Loans and Grants Board to provide financial support to eligible students. Msaka said the loan and grant system will help ensure that students from disadvantaged backgrounds are able to continue their education despite the increase in fees.
Then we have the continuing escalating costs of running universities. As of today, on average, it costs about 8 million kwacha to educate a university student. 8 million. And this is all costed. Now we are asking the students to contribute 1.3 million. The rest, the 6.7 average, is paid by government.
Government recently doubled annual tuition fees at public universities from 650,000 Malawi kwacha to 1.3 million Malawi kwacha, a move that has sparked debate over the affordability of higher education and access for students from low-income families.
Government says delays in approving business tycoon Napoleon Zombe's proposed fertilizer manufacturing company in our district were due to the need to address environmental concerns, particularly waste management issues associated with fertilizer production. Minister of Agriculture Loza Fachi Mbirizi says government remains committed to ensuring that Malawi establishes a local fertilizer manufacturing company by 2027, but emphasized that the project must meet all environmental requirements to protect communities around the area. Mbirizi made the remarks in Parliament on Wednesday after Longwerikuni Member of Parliament Kevin Mpande raised a matter of urgent public important Understanding Order 14 on the delay in approving the project. More details in this report, read by Gift Kalonga.
In her response, Mbirizi said the delay was partly because the developer took almost 9 months to respond to issues raised in the Environmental Impact Assessment Report submitted in July 2025, adding that government required a proper waste management proposal and other environmental concerns to be addressed before the project could proceed due to the risk associated with fertilizer production. She said after receiving the developer's response in March 2026, the Environmental Affairs Board reviewed the submission with government officers assisting in improving the required plans, and that the final technical review found that the environmental and technical issues had been adequately addressed.
The delay, as I pointed out in my submission to Parliament, the delay was partly because the developer took almost 9 months to respond to the issues that were raised in the environmental impact assessment. And there's also a delay because after he submitted, we gave him the new issues that he had to address, because as you are aware, the production of fertilizer produces quite dangerous waste, and we wanted a proper waste management.
Lilongwerikuni Member of Parliament Kevin Mpande said Malawi's agriculture sector depends on fertilizer, and establishing a local manufacturing company would help address challenges related to access, foreign exchange shortages, and unemployment, while creating jobs for young people and increasing government revenue through taxes, including pay as you earn.
Concern is, as a country, our agriculture is the backbone of the country, and you cannot talk about agriculture without fertilizer. So we've been struggling. If you talk about hunger, it's simply because we do struggle to access fertilizer. Apart from that, we don't produce here. If we don't produce, maybe an export, meaning to say we'll still be struggling to access forex. So somebody is coming in with an idea, we'll be producing fertilizer, he will be exporting, we'll be getting forex, and when he's producing that fertilizer, you find out that he will employ a lot of young people. We are 75% of the population as young people, but you are not employed. But if the operation starts, a lot of young people will be employed.
Chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources, Tiaone Henry, said the project requires careful consideration because environmental protection and the safety of communities cannot be compromised, adding that the committee will continue engaging Malawi Environmental Protection Authority, MEPA, and other stakeholders to ensure procedures are followed while supporting the investor.
We summoned the MEPA. They appeared before the committee and they assured us that they were doing the processes. They told us that the delays were on the part of the investor, but they promised us that the board is meeting, they said by around the 18th July, and they said that by that time everything will be concluded and they'll make sure that the Asia report is in place.
Meanwhile, Speaker of Parliament Samia Suleiman said fertilizer production is critical for Malawi and called for government support towards establishing local manufacturing plant, adding that investors require guidance and assistance, while political comments on project should be avoided as they may affect the investment. Suleiman said Parliament will establish joint committee involving the Agriculture, Trade and Investment and Natural Resources Committee to assess the project and provide a report within a week, saying the country needs the fertilizer factory to become operational while ensuring the investment is not affected by political interference.
The Center for Social Accountability and Transparency, CSAT, has called on government to ensure increased tax collection translates into improved public service delivery, following the Malawi Revenue Authority's announcement that it has exceeded its first quarter revenue target. Speaking in an interview with the Luntha television, CSAT Executive Director Wile Kambwandira described MRA's revenue performance as encouraging, but said Malawians also expect accountability in how the money is spent. Costas Kamtemeni with the details.
Kambwandila said the strong revenue collection reflects improved taxpayer compliance, a development he described as positive for the country's economy. He has questioned why many government ministries, departments, agencies, and district councils continue to face financial challenges despite MRA reporting higher than target revenue collections.
I think in the first place, this is an impressive performance by the tax collecting body. Perhaps it also signals compliance from Malawians. However, I think it is very important that the collection should also translate into usage, because what we are seeing now is that the government is even struggling to transfer resources to the district councils, to transfer resources to government MDAs.
The Malawi Revenue Authority says it collected 1.398 trillion in revenue between April 1 and June 30, 2026, exceeding its first quarter target of 1.378 trillion by 20 billion kwacha. MRA attributed the performance to improved taxpayer compliance, saying more individuals and businesses are meeting their tax obligations. For Luntha News, this is Costas Kamtemeni.
In case you are just joining us, remember you're watching News Bulletin right here on Luntha Television. But before I proceed, let's take a commercial break and I'll be back.
Announcement. Transition to cashless ticketing. Malawi Airlines would like to inform all valued customers that effective 1st May, all ticket purchases will be conducted exclusively through cashless transactions. As part of this transition, payment will be accepted via bank transfers and POS machines for various banks available at our offices. This measure is designed to streamline our processes, reduce transaction times, and ensure a safer, more secure way of completing bookings. Cashless ticketing will complement our existing online booking platforms, our website, and our mobile application while aligning with global aviation practices that embrace digital payment solutions. We encourage all customers to prepare for this change by making use of the available electronic payment facilities. Our sales and airport staff will be available to guide and assist customers during this transition. For further assistance, please contact our customer service team via customerrelations@malawianairlines.com or call our support line. We remain committed to serving you with dignity, efficiency, and care as we embrace this new chapter. This announcement is brought to you by Malawi Airlines Management.
Malawi Airlines, from the warm heart of Africa.
Welcome back, but remember, it's time for our news bulletin right here on Luntha Television. And you're with me, Patrick Pupa. But for now, let's take a recap of our top stories.
Pope Leo XIV urges Iraq youth to be Christ light and hope in a wounded world. Opposition legislator warns university fee hike could hurt poor students as education minister says loans will cushion impact. Center for Social Accountability and Transparency (CSAT) calls on government to link higher tax collections to better service delivery following Malawi Revenue Authority MRA revenue surplus. And in international news, confirmed Ebola death in DR Congo hit 600.
Moving on with our news, the Physicians Associates Union of Malawi (PAUM) has called on the Ministry of Health to prioritize investment in the country's health workforce by recruiting more healthcare workers, promoting eligible staff, and constructing additional health centers across the country. PAUM President Solomon Chomba made the remarks in an interview with the Luntha Television, saying after 62 years of independence, the health sector should also be liberated from the many challenges affecting both workers and patients. Emmanuel Chocha with the details.
Chomba said many healthcare workers are struggling to work effectively because of low salaries, long working hours, and critical staff shortage in health facilities. He urged the Ministry of Health to go back to the drawing board and implement practical solutions, including recruiting more healthcare personnel, expanding hospital infrastructure, and ensuring that healthcare workers operate in a conducive working environment.
As a union for the healthcare workers and who are the frontliners in the healthcare service delivery, we thought it wise to join this celebration, the second celebration of our independence, but in a different angle, knowing to say that there is no country with healthy people, and there is no development without a healthy population. All right, and so that healthy population can only come from what healthcare workers on the ground, and these healthcare workers can only be productive if healthcare workers are motivated and they are working in very under good conditions of So our call came in to say that as we are celebrating the second independence, we also have to look at the health care workers who are the individual members who are the frontliners of the service.
Meanwhile, health expert George Jobe agreed with Chomba, saying Malawi urgently need to employ more healthcare personnel because many hospitals remain understaffed. He also stressed the importance of equipping health facilities with adequate medical equipment and supplies to improve the quality of health services.
It is very important as we celebrate more years of our independence to be indeed reflecting on some of the challenges affecting the health sector. The issue of high vacancy rates in our health system, that issue has been there. We remember there was a time when for other cadres, the vacancy rate was even around 60%.
Efforts to obtain a comment from Ministry of Health were unsuccessful as calls to the ministry spokesperson Benedict Mbewe went unanswered. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Jiwocha.
Agriculture expert Leonard Chimwaza says government's decision to restrict seed imports could lead to shortages and high seed prices, warning that Malawi is not yet producing enough seed to meet national demand. Speaking in an interview with the Luntha television, Chimwaza said while promoting local seed production is a positive step, the country currently lacks the capacity to fully meet farmers' needs. Clara Kamzati reports.
Chimwaza said Malawi requires about 40,000 metric tons of seed every farming season, but local production remains below that level. He also said stakeholders were not consulted before the restrictions were introduced, warning that implementing the policy after this season's production had already been completed could create supply gaps for the next planting season.
I have an understanding that the government has imposed a restriction on the importation of seed to Malawi from other countries. We understand that this decision has been made to promote local seed production, so that as a country we should be able to produce our own seed, so that farmers can be using it, which will be very affordable. Because in the past 3-4 agricultural seasons, what we have observed is that the certified seed has been very, very expensive.
Meanwhile, economic expert Chris Mbuka has also expressed concern over the restrictions, saying government should have first assessed the country's production capacity and engaged stakeholders before announcing the policy.
Probably there is a disconnect between the ban itself and the targeted clientele for the ban. In such a case, it is very important whenever government is sending any directive that it is channeled to the intended people who are to be affected by that particular ban.
Government is yet to clarify whether it conducted a production capacity assessment before introducing the restrictions or how it plans to support local seed production.
And in international news, at least 600 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, have died from Ebola, as the number of confirmed cases of the illness rose to 1,759, according to government data. The total numbers released on Wednesday were confirmed as of Tuesday, while 51 new cases and 20 deaths were recorded in the previous 24 hours. We have an Al Jazeera News report read by Chadre Chiranga.
The government's report said the total of those infected does not include 2 cases of illness reported in Kisangani, the capital of the Chopo province, and one of the DRC's biggest cities, as the testing results were being validated. They will be included in the official case total once confirmed. According to the government, one of those 2 cases is linked to the village of Nyanya in the Ituri province, where the first illnesses were reported. but the second illness does not appear to have a geographic link beyond Kisangani. As the situation worsens, healthcare workers in the Ituri province, the hardest hit of the country's 3 eastern regions affected by the outbreak, are walking off their jobs to protest against a delay in payments. In an official notice to national and provincial authorities over the weekend, frontline workers in Ituri threatened to strike if they were not paid in 24 hours. The Associated Press agency reported that by Tuesday, some had already stopped working, although no official strike has been declared. Some of the health professionals and other frontline workers told AP they had not been paid wages or bonuses since the Ebola outbreak was declared on May 15th. They also said they were working with limited gear and treated unfairly by authorities and response teams. The Bundibugo strain of Ebola is generally considered less deadly than some others, but there is no approved vaccine. By the time the World Health Organization declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern in May, the virus had already been spreading undetected for weeks through the mining towns of Mongbaru, Rampara, and Bunia before reaching neighboring provinces.
And with that international report read by Charity Chiranga, let's have a weather report by Charity Mapondo.
A lovely evening to you all. It's time for weather update. Let us look at the observed minimum temperatures. So we have Lintipe and Mzuzu, which have recorded the lowest minimum temperature of about 9 degrees Celsius, 10 from Vumwe Eutini, and Ichitedze, but Dedza has reported about 11 degrees Celsius. We should expect cool to cold conditions tonight and tomorrow morning, but in the afternoon expect windy, partly cloudy and warm conditions to persist over most parts of our country. All these conditions are due to the influence of moist easterly air mass from the Indian Ocean reaching our country. As for tonight, expect partly cloudy conditions over the southern, central, lakeshore as well as northern parts of our country. Tomorrow morning, it will feel very cold over some areas, and Luntha will reach a minimum temperature of about 13 degrees Celsius, 9 over Lilongwe, 10 over Kasungu, but Mzuzu will reach about 11 degrees Celsius. We should also expect windy and partly cloudy conditions over the southern, central, lakeshore as well as northern parts of our country. A chance of isolated rain showers is also anticipated mainly over some lakeshore areas. Tomorrow in the afternoon, warm conditions are expected to persist over most parts of our country. And Karonga will reach a maximum temperature of about 29 degrees Celsius, so too within Sanje. But Mangochi will reach about 27 degrees Celsius. The same afternoon, expect occasionally windy and partly cloudy conditions over the southern, central as well as northern parts of our country. We should also expect a chance of isolated rain showers over some areas such as Nkata Bay. Looking into Saturday, expect partly cloudy and warm conditions to persist over most parts of our country, but it will feel very cold during nighttime and early in the morning. And Dedza will reach a minimum temperature of about 11 degrees Celsius, Kamwendo in Mchinji 13 degrees Celsius as well as Idowa, but in Njuli will reach about 14 degrees Celsius. That's it for today. I'm Charity Mapondo. Be wise, be weather-wise.
With that weather report by Charity Mapondo, we have come to the end of our news bulletin right here on Luntha Television. But before I go, top stories once again.
Pope Leo XIV urges Iraq youth to be Christ light and hope in a wounded world. Opposition legislator warns university fee hike could hurt poor students as education minister says loans will cushion impact. Center for Social Accountability and Transparency (CSAT) calls on government to link higher tax collections to better service delivery following Malawi Revenue Authority MRA revenue surplus. And in international news, confirmed Ebola death in DR Congo hit 600.
Thanks for watching our news bulletin, and this has been Patrick Pupa. I wish you a lovely time. Keep watching Luntha television. I'm so gone.